All right, let's jump right in. Today we're going to unpack the very first 10 years of Pakistan's history, a decade that kicked off with the absolute high of independence, but was almost immediately plunged into chaos. Now, if you're studying for Pakistan Studies 2059, this is a topic you absolutely have to know inside and out.
So, here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start at the very beginning, with the birth of the nation. Then, we'll trace the struggle to find leaders and create a constitution. And we'll see how this whole turbulent first chapter ends, not with a stable democracy, but with military rule.
Okay, let's set the scene. Our story begins right at the start, a moment of incredible, unbelievable triumph for millions of people that was almost immediately overshadowed by one crisis after another. So, August 1947, boom, Pakistan is independent. The dream of a separate homeland for Muslims is finally a reality. And stepping into the crucial role of its very first prime minister is Liaquat Ali Khan. But, this celebrations didn't last long. The new nation was tested right away. The challenges just started piling up one after another. The conflict over Kashmir blew up almost instantly. Then came a huge water dispute with India that threatened the country's farmland. But the biggest blow of all was losing its founding father. The death of Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the Quaid-e-Azam, just 1 year into independence, well, it was a profound shock. It created this massive void in leadership and left everyone asking a terrifyingly big question: what now? So with Jinnah gone, you've got this huge power vacuum, right? And figuring out who could possibly fill his shoes, well, that became the single biggest challenge for the next few years. With Jinnah gone, all eyes turned to Prime Minister Liaquat Ali Khan. The weight of the entire nation was pretty much on his shoulders. He really tried to navigate these incredibly difficult years, even signing the Liaquat-Nehru Pact in 1950 to try and protect minority rights. And then, just when it seemed like things might be finding some kind of footing, tragedy strikes. Again. In 1951, Liaquat Ali Khan was assassinated. This just plunged the country into an even deeper crisis and left that critical question of leadership dangerously, completely unanswered. Okay, so think about it. The country's two most powerful, most iconic leaders are gone. The nation is pretty much rudderless. The new mission, the only mission really, became creating a constitution, a rule book to hold everything together. But man, was it a frustrating and difficult journey. The years after 1951 were just chaotic. Political instability was the new normal. You had leaders like Khwaja Nazimuddin trying to take the reins, but the core problem just wouldn't go away. How on earth do you write one constitution for a country with two completely different parts, separated by 1,000 miles of another country? So someone came up with this really radical idea called the one unit policy. The plan was, basically, to take all the different provinces in West Pakistan and just merge them into one single massive province. The goal was to create a sort of political balance with the much more populated East Pakistan, and maybe, just maybe, make it easier to finally agree on a constitution. So after nearly a decade of debates, arguments, and just constant political drama, finally, a breakthrough. A real moment of much-needed hope and a feeling of national achievement. And here it is, 1956. After 9 long years, Pakistan finally adopts its first constitution. This was a huge deal. It officially declared the nation an Islamic republic and set up a parliamentary system of government. This was supposed to be the fix, the thing that would finally bring political stability. But, and you probably knew there was a but coming, right? That hope, that belief that the Constitution would solve everything was tragically short-lived. Instead of stabilizing, the political system started to completely fall apart, and fast. You see, just having a constitution on paper didn't magically stop the politicians from fighting. The deep-seated rivalries and the power struggles just kept on going, maybe even got worse. It was a tough lesson that a document alone can't fix fundamental political fractures. This led to what you could call a political revolving door. Prime ministers were coming and going so quickly, it was hard to even keep track. This complete chaos made it impossible to govern effectively, and it just totally undermined the authority of the government and the new constitution itself. So all this chaos, it had to lead somewhere, right? It was all building up until it finally hit its breaking point. And what happened next would fundamentally change the course of Pakistan's history for decades. And that's when the army stepped in. citing the constant political instability and the failure of the politicians to govern, the commander-in-chief of the army, General Ayub Khan, took control of the country. He didn't just take over, he completely canceled the 1956 constitution, the very one they had spent 9 years working on, and imposed the country's first ever martial law. And just like that, the chaotic, tumultuous first decade of Pakistan's democratic experiment was over.
So this leaves us with a final, really big thought to consider. When you look back at everything, the immense challenges at the start, losing 2 founding leaders, the constant political infighting, you have to ask, was the collapse of that first democratic system unavoidable? Was this path to military rules somehow inevitable from the start?
By the way, for those of you studying, the information for this explainer was drawn from the O-Level Revision Guide, History and Culture of Pakistan Paper 1 from Sodes Publications. It's a really useful resource. Hey, if this explainer helped you get your head around this really complex period of history, please do me a favor and hit that like button. And definitely subscribe for more deep dives into your syllabus topics. Thanks for watching.